This is the Red All Over reaction show to yesterday's 2-1 defeat at Ardsley Park. The first game since the transfer window is shut, and a very dismal first half with a little bit of fight back in the second, but the hard work was done in the first half for Stockport. So we're going to analyse the game, and let's get stuck into it. So, Al, we'll start first with sort of the atmosphere to the game, which you were there yesterday. Before we get into the performance, team selection, and also Clarke's somewhat of a statement subs that he seemed to make. But atmosphere-wise, how did it feel yesterday? Because I've seen a few things on Twitter with it saying not like a normal away day at all.
Atmosphere were dead. There was a lot of anger, frustration, and with that first half performance, which was nondescript. He changed it, didn't he? Played a diamond, and it just did not work. It did not work whatsoever. No shots on target in that first half, and two poor goals to concede yet again. And you know, it was very, very much for me the worst 45 of this season. And yet again, a ball up at top, didn't it? Come straight over. Pines. What? He's not strong enough, and just brushed away. And first goal, and then yet again another penalty. Earl, from my position at far corner, I couldn't see it. I thought it was a good tackle, but I asked our group, and Trace says it was a penalty. So I went off at half time to loads of boos, and you're thinking, let's regroup, let's see what we can do. And then what happens then? He takes Rodriguez off and puts Ferozia up front. It just shows how poor this January window was when we've no striker to come on to change a game. And when his first shot went in, fans started singing, "We've had a shot, we've had a shot." When second shot went in, "We've had two shots, we've had two shots." I feel for our fans. Our fans have been let down, big style. And I hobbled out with me hip on 89 minutes, and as I'm walking around, I hear the cheer, and we scored. I missed goal because the ground itself for me and my mobility issues were awful. Steps to go up and down a pathway, up lots of steps. I must admit I struggled yesterday. Stockport County, not a good place to go, and it showed really. They were all really sack the board. It was a lot of angry Reds fans, and it was a sellout end, and with nothing really to show for it. And it makes a change, actually, a plus point. We scored after 76 minutes. It shows the opposition who scores. So, you know, take it as you want, but it was a 2-1 and Stockport County. And another sellout crown coming up in a couple of weeks at Rotherham.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, Clarke admitted he got it wrong. And then listening to John Russell's post-match interview, we didn't get it right, and we changed. Your football players, you should adapt. I don't understand why you're saying it didn't work. They should adapt, the professional footballers. And if you're not adapting, well, get out at Bloodman Club. And yes, they were a bag of poo-poo.
Craig,
that was strong, Al.
All I'm going to say is that back alley, there were a lot of that. You had to watch where you were standing.
Craig, obviously, as Al's mentioned there, half-time Clement Rodriguez, came off for Neil Frugiu, then went up front, Luke O'Connell to left wing back. It seemed, what I don't understand is, you put a left wing back on, you put him up front, you put a central midfielder into the left wing back. We've got 3 wing backs to choose from off that bench, so it's not like there were a lack of them that we could pick from. Young Ajaya Dyer on the bench, who clearly was just there to make numbers up rather than actually be selected, given that a left wing back's gone up front in front of him. It just goes to show, especially when you sort of saw the team selection and the bench that we've got 1 centre-back, 3 wing-backs, a goalkeeper, a centre midfielder that's injured for more or less 3/4 of a season every year, and a young striker on there, of how poor that January window actually has been.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the fact as well is he can't choose his midfield. He seems to want to play Connell and McCarley and Johnny Russell and Phillips. It needs to be. He needs to pick a three, and be able to have one as on bench because we're getting to a point where we're trying to shoehorn him into positions like Connell left wing back, Ferrugia up front. Why? We've got Josiah Dyer. Give him a chance. You never know. This kid might come good. I mean, he's scoring goals for fun in under 21s. I did that I didn't understand. I thought Ferrugia played well when he come on. I think he had most successful dribble attempts throughout the whole game, and he only played half of it. So for me, playing him at left wing back would have brought us a lot more than playing him up top. Yeah, it was. It was the first half were absolutely terrible. I think Johnny Russell lost the ball 3 times in the first 3 minutes. Every time he touched the ball, it seemed to go to one of their players. It was horrendous. The second half, we absolutely dominated the game. Large majority of it stats wise. I think it come down to as well. In the first half, they had 86% tackle win ratio. We had 54%. Second half, we went up to 75%. They went down to 69. So I think it just shows that we can't play back four. Our back line is not good enough for a back four. The problem for me, which was gleamingly obvious, is De Givigny cannot play in a back four. Great defender, but he is a back three defender all day. He leaves that back line far too often, and he left Pines in a lot of trouble a lot of times because he'd try and push forward like you would in a back three, being that extra defender that can push and pressure their players. And a number of times O'Keefe would just go flying up that wing like he's a wing back, not playing as a full back. And then De Givigny follow him, and then they were just Pines and Earl just stood there like, what are we gonna do? Earl's challenge, yeah, it were a penalty all day. He mistimes it, but he does that quite often. He's the one-on-one defending of our centre backs with Pines and Earl is not great, especially running back towards their own goal because they're so tall, so bad at it. It's unreal. They just can't seem to sort the feet out. It looks like they look like Bambi on ice when they're running back towards their own goal. And a number of times I've seen Pines do that. At least Roberts is competent enough to push them wider and use his physicality, but Pines and Earl just don't seem to do that. I thought O'Keefe he lost the ball a lot, as well as Phillips. To be fair, I think they ranked the top two in possession lost. I think between them, they lost the ball over like 60 times, 70 times between them. But I think that's because they were trying to make the more riskier passes, the riskier crosses. But yeah, the game coming up, we've got to sort it out. We've got to pick a three that we're happy with. I hope whoever this agent whoever this guy we're talking to, is a god up front because we had 8 shots from inside their area yesterday. They had 6. We can't seem to score a goal unless it's Davis Keeler done taking the shot. We cannot score. And it's absolutely ridiculous. More times this season, we've lost points just because we cannot put the ball in the net. We can blame his defence all day, but if you can outscore your opponent, it masks it. And last season, I think a lot of it got masked because we could score goals. This season, we can't score any goals, and for me, that needs addressing. It needs addressing fast.
It does. It's almost the two worst things of it'd be fine if we're keeping clean sheets and we could just score one a game. But what is it, 5 clean sheets all season for a side that, sat in playoffs is we're by far the lowest. I think we've got one of the worst defenders for the position in which we're in anyway. Andy, Clarke did take a bit of responsibility for trying that diamond in the first half for some reason of trying it against a side that plays 5, and we knew that they'd play wide and attacked us from wide all first half and had a lot of joy from it. Then went and matched up in the second half for style and formation. it were a much even game. He's come out and said and took accountability. Then in the next sentence said it was players' fault for not being adaptable in that first half, which I thought were a little bit of a strange comment. Do you think Clarke's under a bit of pressure because it's been a lot recently of, especially in interviews when he said things and almost contradicts himself a minute later from what he said just prior?
Possibly, I think there's a few things really. There's been a good number of fans saying playing a back three and wing backs hasn't been working. It's been working. We need to go to a back four. Well, I think yesterday showed that no, the players that on the pitch can't play in a back four, and Craig's nailed it. De Givini coming out and just leaving people on their own. What normally happens if you've got a back four, if somebody comes out of that back four, the other three come together. So if such as De Givini comes forward, then O'Keefe tucks in as the extra centre, extra player at the back, and that's the thing. Whoever comes forward, the others, like being on elastic, pull in together. We weren't doing that. They were just both going forward. So we're not playing. We weren't playing a back four. It were a back two, and still had wing back. Earl is not a left back. I've always praised him. I think he can be a class player. I don't know if it's through his injury or what confidence, what have you, but he was getting it away. He weren't there. Man on his own. It's just not a left back. He's not got the speed or whatever for the left back, and you can't get past. We had most possession, did not wait, and we gave the two of the sloppiest goals away that Stockport are going to score this season. Made it easy for them that first half. Alan's nailed it with both of them. Donovan, he just flopped down. The guy touched him and flopped down. If there's anything, you couldn't see that happening at the other end, could you? You couldn't see a Stockport County defender being knocked down like that or being caught out like we were. We've got to go with the players that we've got. It's got to be wing backs and a back three. It's got to be which ones, as open to debate. And again, Greg said it about the midfield, all over the place. What I will say is, we rallied a bit in the second half. I'm not going to say that's because Stockport took the foot off the gas. I think we played a lot better in the second half. But again, Craig nailed it. We can't seem to shoot or head the ball away from the goalkeeper. It's like the goalkeeper's got the ball on elastic. I said it at the last instant reaction. Every attempt goes straight to the goalkeeper. Every goalkeeper we play against isn't brilliant at anticipating where a ball's going. Don't have to be. Just stand there and it'll come to you. So that were really, really poor, I thought. As far as what you said about Darryl Clarke, I don't know if he were making a statement, but I thought Ferrucci did all right when he came on. But weak. It's a weak thing, left wing back going up front. I don't know. Clement, left out to dry because we weren't getting any service to him at all. I'm assuming he might, he's only just come, he might well be shattered. I don't know if he's any good enough. He hardly touched the ball. But the bench, no, not enough there. Dyer, maybe. I don't know. Humphreys was ill from what we told, so that were a crying shame right at the start. I don't know if putting Ferrugia up front was a statement or not. A lot of people have sort of messaged, I think they thought it were a bit of a statement to the board and what have you. I'll say this: if you start, I don't particularly think it was, because if you start making statements like that to the board, it doesn't end well for the manager. It never ends well for the manager when you start doing that. So I'd be surprised if it were that, but who knows?
Fans yesterday, lads, were bemused by that substitution, and when he went up front, you just couldn't write that. You just really couldn't write it.
Well, I thought they'd started off by Adam Phillips going up front, and it were the two, but both him and DKD both playing up front. But then, it changed. I will say this, and it's scant. We passed it better in the second half, and we got some inroads. I thought Dexter coming on, Lembiniska coming on, Lembinikisa coming on. I thought he had a good debut in difficult circumstances. I thought he did all right on right hand side, and created a bit of problems. Again, got some crossing, edit straight to goalkeeper. Pappy headers straight to goalkeeper. Shots straight to goalkeeper. our goal, well, much as we can lambast the team for the way they played over the 90 minutes, our goal were a thing of beauty, a lovely cross by Adam Phillips, chipped in by Adam Phillips, well done by DKD, and a lovely little pass by Russell back to DKD, who passed it beautifully into the far corner. It was a stunning goal. They got nowhere near it. The first time that Stockport got nowhere near it, but it's right at the end, and it's scant positivity, isn't it? But
Two
again, that's
shots
the
on
only time
there
I
as
didn't
well.
consider the goalkeeper. But it was a lovely goal. But,
It's a big worry now. We haven't won in five nights. It's going to be 6 on Saturday.
Yeah, in form table in last 5 games, we're 22nd in the league.
Who's in worse form than us?
Mansfield, I believe, and
Guess what? We've got
Exeter.
one draw and 4 losses.
Yeah, we've got the same as Exeter, so we'd like joint with them. But Mansfield's got worse because they've got 5 losses in 5.
Jesus.
What gets me, lads, is look at teams above us. You got.
So there we go. Huddersfield next. Yeah, that's a nice easy game.
I'm on about teams who've come up. You Stockport and Wrexham's have got money. People are up there.
We expected it though. Well, we called it pre-season.
Where we are is, he's on free fall.
We hadn't invested enough, and that's just it. That's just it. Any problems that we had last season, we've not filled them. I think we knew we were losing a lot of goals last season with Devante leaving and everything. We didn't address it. We faced in DKD, but he's not a striker. He is a facilitator who plays behind the striker. And he's doing incredibly well playing as a striker. But you need a bagsman. You need somebody is going to get a shot in that penalty area. He's going to either score or he's going to make that goalkeeper work incredibly hard. And we do not have that sort of character in this team.
And we ain't got a target man, lads. There's no target man.
We've had one, but it didn't work. We've had Cosgrove, but he's rubbish. It's like I'm sorry, but you spend your most amount of money on your strikers. They will win you matches, right? The second amount you spend on is a good defense because they will save you matches because they will not concede goals. And we have an incredible midfield, and we have a poor defense, and we have an incredibly poor attack, and that's it. And that's what's costing us.
Certainly is. It's I think because we're not scoring and also not keeping clean sheets, it's highlighting the frailties of both of them areas at the minute. Al, do you think Daryl Clarke is under pressure? Because I've seen there's almost a little bit, it's interesting in terms of reaction from fans of one half of this shows, because realistically, the 11's not terrible that we've got. It's just you can't change it as such. If we did play sort of a usual 11, it's probably still a top half side that we have, and then there's maybe 1 or 2 subs you could actually make. But Daryl Clarke seems to just not be able to get the best out of this 11 at the minute. You can say a lot about we're having all these shots and not scoring, but the goals we're conceding, it's still, like, to me, that's down to system and style. And he said yesterday he got it wrong, and it's again cost us it's cost us potentially a point if we did ever get back into that game, or if the first half goes a little bit differently. Do you think he is sort of under pressure now for this second half of the season from fans more than sort of the board or anything, the board were to act and sack? 'Cause obviously, Warren's now available from Derby, someone we know who can get a club out of this league, a similar size club to us as well. There's someone there that's got the blueprint to get out of here.
There is frustration there, but it's more or less, everybody was saying yesterday, how many coaches can we have? We're overloaded with coaches. There's too many cooks spoil the broth, so to speak. And yeah, for me, he's been let down by the board, by Mladen, by the recruitment team. He can only play with the cards he's been dealt with. And any coach coming in is going to have the same problem.
Do you think he could play them cards a bit better, though? Because we know there's...
Probably, but he tries to outthink the opposition. And like yesterday, by tweaking it backfired. Mm-hmm. He admitted it backfired. So I want to change that, to be honest. But, he was thinking he could get one over on Stockport County yesterday, and he didn't. For half an hour, we were all right, weren't we? Although we were pushed back. But last 10 minutes at first half, it was just, game was finished for me. It was done. And honestly, the fans deserve better who travel up and down the country to watch our beloved Reds. And they are being let down. And you could say it's by the gaffer, by the team. And yesterday, inside the stadium, they were saying the players aren't playing for him. Some fans were saying that. So, can you put a finger on it? I don't know. But it's not a unity. A team should be united. And I don't think there's a united camp, personally.
No, Greg, where do you sit on that? Because it is quite, I appreciate Darryl Clarke has not got the tools he needs to get us out of this division. I think everyone understands that. But at the same time, for me personally, I think he can do better with what he's been dealt. Like, when I was speaking to the Talking Gas podcast guys, they said you will win or lose games. You will not draw with Darryl Clarke because he will either go for it and you'll lose, or he'll change something and it won't work at all and it'll backfire, which I think we've seen more of the latter half of that than the first half this season. Of his changes have been positive. I think a lot of the time when he's made changes and tweaks, it's gone against us.
Yeah, I think you're right to try something different, and I'll never lambast a manager for trying to be a manager, trying to change circumstances and put things. We're trying to make the most of the midfield situation, which is our strongest area. That's what we're trying to do. Let's be honest, But we don't have the defence to cope with not having wide men coming back to help, not having, like I said, with Dejuvigné coming out and stuff. That's just his style of play. It comes out, it presses. And you can only do that in a back three. O'Keefe is a pure wing back. He cannot stay back. It's not in his nature to do so. Same if you'd have played Fruzier at left back. He wouldn't have stayed back neither. They go forward. They're not the old school Gary Nevilles. You know what I mean? They just stay back and stay in the back four. So, yeah, I applaud his attempt to change something. I thought it was the wrong opponent to do it against. They were in too good a form to try and sneak a little tactical change past. For me, Darryl Clarke, I think he's shriveling before his eyes. Every single interview, he gets a little bit less enthusiastic and a little bit more withdrawn. He keeps taking blame for players. I'm sorry. The players, the professionals, you tell them what to do, they should go on the pitch and be able to do it. We're not here talking to school kids. They're adults, they're grown men. And for me, they need to take their share of the blame. But ultimately, the blame for me has to go to the guys at the top because they are not giving the manager the tools he needs to do the job they've asked him to do. If you give somebody a rubber hammer and tell them to build a house, that house is going to fall down. It's just that. It's just the way it is. He asked for a striker. Not got one. He's got a striker, but not a prolific one, not a known one, not one that we could come in and go, whoa, that's going to be a game changer. Nobody knows who he is. Scored 8 goals in his whole career. Now, no offence to the lad, he might have not had the opportunities or whatever, but what stats can you draw from a guy that spends half his time on the subs bench? What have they seen on this spreadsheet that's gone, that's our guy? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. And I hope it's a Kamara Roof that I'm talking to and somebody that we know can score at this level. But for me, there's no way they're paying his wages. It's not going to happen. So I think, and the fact that Clarke called him lad, it sounds like he's a good lad, means that he's not at the older end of the spectrum. I think it's going to be some young kid that's been dropped from an academy, who comes in.
I won't worry about lad. Smithy calls me lad. I won't worry about that.
I don't know. I'm just trying to read between the lines,
You can't read.
And by the way, I can confirm it's not me. I'm out of contract, but it's not me.
You can't read between any lines at Oakwell, lads.
Well, I apparently work for club, so it must have been me. It must have been me. As soon as I work for club. Must have been me that what.
Well, one of us does apparently.
Yeah.
I'd like to know who. I'd like to see what perks I'm getting because I'm still paying full price.
Supposedly.
The only thing I would
Must
say, and it's scant. Like I said, the goal were good, so that was scant. The only other scant thing is we lost 2-1 to two utterly avoidable goals by poor defending. So but I'm sick of saying it. I think we're all sick of saying it. We lost or we drew, whatever, by poor defending. So that tells you what we need to sort out. Poor, 5 clean sheets, poor defending. We'd have won 1-0 if it hadn't been for poor defending. Two glaring, let's be honest, glaring errors. But maybe they scored elsewhere. I don't know.
That's what's the most
Can't
annoying
reward,
thing.
but
That's what the most annoying thing is, though. We're so close. I think we're probably
Yeah,
one
that.
striker, one defender away from
That.
being competitive against the top 6, and we couldn't push the boat out enough, and that's what's annoying.
I think 2 defenders would have done it. It almost paper over the fact of we can score a goal. Like his goals for the position we're in are fine, but when you look at the amount of chances create, it looks terrible on paper. And like you look at the games where you like, if we had someone prolific, we'd have scored 5 or 6. But if we kept a clean sheet, we'd have won 1-0.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
And if 2 defenders is cheaper than signing 1 striker, just do that. And sign some defenders. It's one of my big gripes.
Yes.
Anyway,
Jack Shepherd.
We need Solbauer back.
Anyway, that's enough for today.
yes. Andy's got to go, basically. Is what that is.
The football.
So if you want some more chat, blame Andy.
Yes. So we're back midweek with our preview to Huddersfield. Is it Huddersfield next week? We'll preview that.
Unfortunately.
Normal 3 o'clock kickoff.
that's
What is it?
Time.
3 o'clock?
Yes.
Oh, God, I've been telling you what it's 12:30. Oh, dear God.
It's 3 o'clock. Huddersfield's 3 p.m.
There's really lots of people turn up early then.
I'll say you
A
better
lot of
get your
people
phone book
looking
out now, Andy. Start ringing around. Well, I must apologise.
A lot of people looking keen for that one. Yeah, so we're back midweek with our preview of the Huddersfield game. We'll get a little bit more into the debate of the transfer window as the dust settles a bit more, and we can sort of analyse Darryl Clarke if he was making a statement as such, if anything else out, and hopefully there'll be a new body through the building as well for his free agent. But we'll see. We'll see you later. You Reds.